Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Maison African Motives. In this platform we shall be focusing on variation, that is direct variation. So if you are new to my channel guys, you can consider subscribing so that you won't miss any of the classes that we shall be having from Maison African Motives. Okay, so particularly I'm having questions from the exercise 9A from NGM book 4. So I'm going to focus much on that exercise, okay, on direct variation. But before I do that, I'm just going to explain a bit for this part of variation that we are talking about, which is direct variation. Actually, I listed this previously in some of the classes about the direct variation. Okay, so when you are given a symbol like that, it's actually a variation sign. So when given two variables, in this case I have A and B, which can be connected together in a way that when A is increasing, B is also increasing, or A is decreasing, B is also decreasing. That is what we call a direct variation. Okay, so this direct variation, actually what you're going to do is that in place of the variation sign that you'll be given, you're going to remove this or introduce the constant that is connecting the two variables, which is A and B. So these are the variables that we have, A and B. So they can be connected together by the constant, which is, take note, it's a constant. So it actually refers to what is going to happen to B and what is going to happen to A at the same moment. So this constant is the one that is determining what is going to happen. So for the value of B to increase, A must also increase. If this B decreases, A is also going to decrease. So this is the constant that we have introduced, and this constant is going to remain the same throughout. So you have to actually determine the value of the constant for the values of A and B that you are given. So this statement here is actually means A varies directly as B or to B, or it can be A is proportional to B. Okay, so that's actually how you connect this equation, and some questions they can follow, but for the introduction part, that is what you're going to have. So like I said, that you're going to focus from NGM book 3 on exercise 9, NGM book 4, sorry, this is NGM book 4 on exercise 9A. Okay, so that is what I'm having from exercise 9A. They actually took the questions from question 10. These are the questions that I actually started with, which is 9, 10 and 11 there. Okay, so on this part we are given A varies. So if you are given this statement, they can give you in a word form, or they can actually give you this in with a sign like this. So like I said, it means A varies directly as what is B, and A is equal to 2,4 when B is equal to 3. Find the relationship between A and B. So we need the relationship, guys, the relationship. So it can be an equation connecting A and B, the relationship, or in equations it's one and the same thing. Okay, so what am I going to do? First thing, I have to introduce the constant. Remember what I said in this case. So this is actually number 10. So we are given A, which varies directly as B. So I'm going to introduce the constant. That's the first thing. Okay, just introduce the constant. When you introduce the constant, make sure that you introduce also the equal sign. Okay, so these two, they work hand in hand. Okay, so to find the constant, so that is to have the relationship between A and B. So I'm just going to substitute the value of A and the value of B that I'm given. Okay, so what is the value of A is 2,4, and what is the value of B? The value of B is 4. It's 3. Okay, the value of B here is 3. So someone can write as 3K3. Guys, yes, it's fine. It can be like this, or you can write as 3K. It's one and the same thing. Okay, so to find the value of K, you have to divide by 3 by 3. Okay, so this K is going to remain. So it's 3 into 2, that's a 0 there, and remainder 2 there. 3 into 24, that's going to give us 8, which is going to be 0,8, or you can be a decimal. 8 over, that's 8 over 10, and you can reduce by 2, which is 4, by 2, which is 5. So it can be 4 over 5 or 0,8, depending with the part that you want to work with. Okay, so this is not a relationship, this is the constant that you just determined. So in order for you to have the relationship, now you have to substitute the value of k that you've obtained here. So it's 4 over 5b, or it can be a is equal to 0,8b, depending on the way that you want to write it, but that is the relationship or the equation which connects a and b. Okay, so someone can ask, what about this equation? Because it's also an equation, this one. Why didn't we just write this equation like that? Okay, yes, it's an equation and it connects a and b, but this one, it's an equation which connects a and b in terms of a constant k. When the question is asking you to like, the question is saying in terms of the constant k, or whatever constant that you're. Okay, sorry for that. So when you're asked to give in terms of a constant, that is when you're going to just write like that. But when you're asked to a and b, which means the only letters that you need is a and b. These are the only letters that are supposed to be part of your answer. Okay, so that is for this question. Then now number 11 is d. We are given the same thing, but here it's a continuation actually. So this is actually a similar question, but an additional question actually, because there is something here. Okay, so we are given that if d varies directly as what? As s. We are given the same thing, is a direct variation, and d is 140 when s is equal to 35. Find the first part is the relationship between d and s. So this relationship is going to be the same thing that we did there to first introduce the constant. So we are going to just apply the same thing, that is d varies directly as s, so it's going to be d is equal to ks, like this. Okay, then we have the value of d and the value of s, so you can actually substitute these values. D is 140 is equal to k multiplied by s, and the value of s that you're given in this case is what? Is 35, or you can write as 35k. It's one and the same thing, guys. Okay, so in order for you to find the value of k, you can divide by 35 both sides. So the moment you divide by 35, that means these two cancel, so you're now left with 140 over 35. Okay, so now someone can ask, can I leave my answer like this? This is not good. You have to reduce your answer, okay, always by 5 here. Okay, so we have a 28 over 7 there, so this part we can actually reduce, which is going to give us 4. Okay, so this is the value of k that you're obtaining, but like I said, guys, to find the value of k is not to find the relationship. To find the relationship, you have to substitute the value of k into this equation, which has d, k, and s. So our k is 4, so it's going to be 4s, like this. So this is now the relationship that connects d and s. So the question is, how can we calculate this value of s given a condition that d is equal to 176 on item b? Okay, so what am I going to do is to actually, it's a continuation, this question. You want to find the value of s when you are given the value of d. So it's not like you're going to start another equation again. You're going to continue from this equation that you're now having, which was on item A. So on item A, we determine that, so this is your item B. So whether you have this part on item A, you have to write it down again. So you have to start by writing your D, which is equal to 4s. Okay, then now you substitute what you are given, because you want to find the value of s and you are given the value of d. So in place of d, you're going to substitute 176. So 176 is equal to 4s. So how can I find s? Actually, it's an equation, just like any normal equation. To find s, I'm going to divide, because I'm multiplying, so I'm going to divide by 4 by 4. So s is going to be 4 into 17. Remember, into 16 it's 4, and there's a remainder of 1 into 16 is 4. So s is going to give us 44. So always variation, it's a continuation part. Look at this one. On exercise 9b, still working with a similar question, but this time I want us to take note here. There is the square of x. The square of x. Y varies directly as the square. So if you are given this, the square of x, this is okay, let me just write it here. This is the square of x. X is squared like this. This one is the square root of x. The square root. This one. This one is the square. So take note the square, and we have the square root. Okay. So we are given that it varies directly as the square of x. So I'm going to write this as y varies directly as the square of x like this. Okay, but here take note, we are just given the value of y, the value of x, then calculate y when x is equal to 5. So are you seeing that this question has actually skipped a lot of questions that we could have as a we could have find the actually the first part that we are expecting to have is to have the relationship. So but if you have to prove there's no, that question is not there, whether that question is being asked or not, we have to first find a relationship between these two variables, which is y and x. You can't have the value of y without the relationship between y and x. So first we need the relationship. Okay, so y is equal to kx squared, just like the previous part. You substitute this part that you're given. If y is 98, x is 49. So in place of y you have 98. So 98 is equal to k times x, but this is x squared. So this 7 is going to be squared. Okay, 7 like this squared, of which 98 is equal to 7 squared. That's 7 times 7 from your calculator, that's 49. So you're going to have 49k divided by 49 by 49, so which means our k is going to be, this one is going to be 2. So we have the value of k, so I can now write this relationship as, in place of k here we have 2x squared. Okay, so this is the relationship that is connecting y and x, which is the one that I'm not asked to determine. The question is calculate y when x is equal to 5. So I'm going to substitute now on this relationship that I'm having. Now I can substitute the value of what? The value of x that I'm given, which is 5. Okay, so okay, remember that question we said you're going to try it. So when x is equal to 5, y is equal to, in place of x substitute 5, so it's going to be 5 squared. Okay, so y is going to be 2 by 5 squared, that's 5 times 5, which is 50. Yeah, 5 times 5, 5 times 5, which is 25. Guys, where am I getting? I'm now writing the answer instead of, okay, this is 50 now. Okay, so this is 5 squared, which is going to be 25, then 25 times 2, which is what? Which is 50. So I was working with the answer in mind. Anyways, that is what you're supposed to get in this case. Okay, so that is how you actually you answer these questions when you're asked to calculate the value of y or the value of x. You have to first have the relationship, then connect. On 9b, another question we are given, a varies directly, so this is b to the exponent of 3. This is b cubed, the cube of b, so it can be the cube of b, and the value of a is there, the value of b is there. Find the formula connecting a and b. So it's one and the same thing like what we did. If you to cross check, okay, let's just do this because some of us might be complaining that, oh, this question might be difficult, but let's see what we're having in this case. Okay, let's connect these two, kb to the exponent of 3, or b cubed. Then I have the value of a, the value of b, so I'm going to substitute in place of a 32. So 32 is equal to k times b to the exponent of 3, but our b is 4. Okay, so it's 4 to the exponent of 3, guys. 4 times 4 times 4, 3 times is going to give us 64. Okay, if you multiply properly here, 4 times 4 times 4, that's 16. 16 times 4 is 64, so 32 is equal to 64k. I want to find the value of k, so I'm going to divide by the number that is affecting the k here, which is 64 by 64. Okay, so k divided by 32, that's 1 by 32, that's 2, so it's going to be 1 over 2. Or you can actually try the smaller number, 32 over 64. You can try 4, you can try 2. Yeah, by 2, that's 16, by 2, that's 32. Yeah, by 16 1, by 16 2, you can actually see that 16 32, these ones are more related than, but this one, these two, even they are more related. Okay, so your k is 1 over 2. So Therefore, what is going to be the relationship? Because on item A, they need the relationship. So in place of k, let's substitute 1 over 2. So A is going to give us 1 over 2 b to the exponent of 3. Okay, so this is going to be the relationship, the formula connecting A and B. That is half A to the exponent of what? Of B, of 3. Half B to the exponent of 3, like that. So that is A, the part A. Part B, we are asked to calculate find the value of A when B is equal to what? When B is equal to 6. So remember, I told you that, guys, whenever you're asked other question, it's actually a continuation that you're going to do from the previous question. Remember, we obtained that A is equivalent to half B to the exponent of 3 or to the power of 3. So now you want to calculate the value of A given that B is 6. This is what you are having. You are given the value of B, that B is 6 in this case. So what am I going to do? Because I want to have the value of A. So just substitute here. A is equal to, that is half, in place of B, we have 6 to the exponent of what? Of 3. So make sure that you multiply properly here. If you multiply this properly, 6 by 6 by 6, you're going to obtain, that's 106, because this is 36. 36 by 6, let's do this together. 36 by 6, which is going to be 6 by 6, that's 36 again, and 3. And this is 36, so 6 by 3, which is 18 plus 3, which is 216. So it's going to be 216, okay? But there is a half there, so it's going to be 1 over 2. So A is equal to 1 over 2 times 216. So 1 over 2 times 216, guys, it's actually a dividing here. 2 into 2, that's 1. 2 into 1, take note, this is 216 and the 16, so you have to divide 2 into 1, that's 0, remainder 1. Then 2 into 16, that's 8, so it's going to be 108, not 18. You are dividing like this, 216 over 2, so it's 2 into 2, that's 1. 2 into 1, that's 0, remainder 1, into 16, that's 8. That's how you divide. Okay, so that's the value of A, which is 108. Then the value of B when A is equal to 13,5. So still you have to do the same thing, but this time you're substituting in place of A. Okay, so this is C, but you have to take the same equation, guys. The same equation, you have to start with that same equation. Okay, now let's substitute. We are given the value of A and we want to calculate the value of B. Okay, so the A is 13,5, not 35. 13,5 is equal to half B to the exponent of 3. So what can I do? I have to remove this fraction here. It's 1 over 2. So this one is same as over 1. I can actually cross multiply here. 2 times 13,5 is going to give us 13,5 times 2. Mostly this is paper 1, so that's why I'm trying to use the longer part than to use a calculator. Okay, so that's 10. 2 by 5, that's 10, 1. 2 by 3, that's 6 plus 1, which is 7. 2 by 1, which is 2. So it's going to be 27,0, because we have got one decimal place here, so it's going to be 27,0. Okay, so 27,0 is same as 27, which is B to the power of 3, to the exponent of 3 or to the power of 3. So to remove these 3, definitely I have to introduce the cube root, both sides, the cube root. The power is the same that I'm going to use inside the root sign. Okay, so this 3 is going to neutralize this exponent of 3, so definitely I'm going to remain with 3. And the cube root of 27, which number multiplies itself 3 times so that we can obtain 27. So what is 3? So the cube root of 27 there is 3. So that's how they ask this question. That's how they play around variation, direct variation. So as you can see, another question on question number 5 is P varies directly as the square root of Q, and P is equal to 10 when Q is equal to 16. Find the equation. So this time is the square root of the square root. So take note, guys, we are given the square root. So I'm going to just write this as P varies as the square root like this, Q. Okay, in shorter way, that is this P varies directly as the square root of Q, and P is 10 when Q is 16. Find the equation connecting P and Q. So still one and the same thing. We have to introduce the constant with the equal sign and substitute the values that you're given. P is 10 when Q is 16. So in place of P, I have 10. K times square root of 16. The value of Q is 16. And here we're going to work with the positive values. The square root of 16, we know that is plus or minus 4, but you're going to work with the positive values, okay? So it's going to be 4K. So 10 is equal to 4K. Divide by 4 to find the value of what? Divide the value of K in this case. So if 10 over 4, but 10 over 4, guys, you can actually reduce by 2. We have 5 by 2, we have 2. So it's going to be 5 over 2. So therefore, I can just write this as P is equal to, in place of K, I have 5 over 2. So it's going to be 5 over 2 square root of Q. Yeah, no worries. You can even leave your answer like this. This is variation. Same as vectors. You can actually leave your answers as improper fractions. They do not have any queries about that. Then the part B there, we actually need to find the value of P. This is actually the same thing, guys, that we have been doing previously. So we have to start by writing the formula that we obtained in the previous question, and I think that's the formula. Okay, so now we need to find the value of P when Q is equal to what? Q is 9. Take note, when Q is 9, so P is going to be 5 over 2 multiplied by the square root of Q, which is 9. So in place of Q, I'm going to substitute with what? With 9, the value that I'm given. So it's a matter of substitution. So yeah, substitution is another topic that we actually need to talk about as a separate topic, because it's the one that we are actually talking about here. It's variation, but as you can see, it's all about substitution, guys. Okay, anyways, we're going to have 5 over 2 multiplied by the square root of 9. The number that multiplies itself to give us 9 is 3. So we have over 1, so this can actually multiply 5 by 3, which is 15, over 2 by 1, which is 2. So 15 over 2 can be 2 into 15, which is 7, remainder 1 over 2. Or you can just write it like that. Q is 15 over 2, or it can be 7.5 or 7.5. But any answer is fine. Any answer is fine, okay? So that is the value of Q. And on C, we want to... Is it the value of Q or the value of P? Why am I obtaining the Q here? It's the value of P. This is the P, okay? So this is P, not Q, okay? So just cross check on that one, guys. Okay, the C part here, we are asked now to find the value of Q when P is equal to 1 and 7 over 8. Okay, so now we have the value of P. So still the same thing, P is equivalent to 5 over 2 the square root of Q. That formula that you obtained on the first item, you have to write it as it is, okay? Just rewrite that formula, then you can just substitute. In place of P, you have to substitute 1 and what? 1 and 7 over 8. Okay, let's see what we have. 1 and 7 over 8 is equal to 5 over 2 square root of Q. Does this make sense? Okay, I want to find the value of Q. So how can we play around? Okay, that's an improper fraction that we need here. So we need an improper fraction, multiply and add. So if you multiply, it's going to be 8 plus 7. 8 plus 7, that's something like 15. So you have 15 over 8, which is equal to 5 over 2 square root of Q. Okay, so what can I do? I can actually cross multiply, or just to remove this, I can multiply by 2 over 5, both sides. Okay, I can just multiply by 2 over 5 so that this and this can cancel, 5 and 5 can cancel. Or I could have just cross multiply, then do the other way. Still, I was going to obtain the same answer, okay? So square root of Q is equal to 2 into 2, that's 1. 2 into 8, that's 4. 5 into 5, that's 1. 5 into 15, that's 3. So we are going to have 3 over 4. That's Q, okay, which is 3 over 4 in actual sense, okay? But the square root of Q, not Q, the square root of Q. And we need Q, not the square root. So how can I remove this square root? Just like what I did to remove the square, I have to put the square root. So I'm going to square in order to remove the what? The square root. So the moment I square this part, I'm actually removing the square root. And here I'm going to square everything. 3 to the exponent of 2, or 3 to the power of 2. That's 9 over 3 to the power of 2. That's 3 times 3, guys. Remember? Okay, 4 to the power of 2, that's 16. Remember, it's 4 times 4. Not 4 plus 4, but 4 times. Okay, so you're going to have 9 over 16 as the value of Q. So that's direct variation for you guys from NGM Book 4. Some of you guys actually wanted us to work on this topic, variation. So these are the questions that they can actually ask you on variation. So not to miss these classes, on Maison African Motives, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and to share our videos, guys, to our friends and colleagues, so that they also can have a benefit from this information that we are having from Maison African Motives. So more questions are going to come as we are going to revise much and much from our textbooks and also from question papers, so that we can prepare ourselves for the exams which are ahead of time. Ahead of time. So please make sure that you revise so that we don't lose out.